Hi everybody, my name is Susan Hall and I'm with Satya Yoga and Chant, and I wanted to talk to you today about props. Primarily props that we use for the Yin Yoga practice. One of the primary intents of Yin Yoga is to work with the fascia in the body, the soft tissue. And in order to do that, we have two essential methods that we use to work with that tissue, and that's creating traction and duration of time. So what we need to support us in putting the body in traction are props. So it's important that when you're doing your home practice, which is a great place and an important place to develop a practice for yourself, so you'll create discipline and consistency in your practice, which is so important to allow it to do the work in a sustainable way for your body. So in terms of props, probably the most important one would be a blanket. Or two blankets. So at most of the yoga studios, we like to use these amazing blankets from Mexico. They're beautiful, and they also they provide firmness, which is really what you need. So you can manipulate them in lots of different ways. So I highly recommend having at least two blankets at home that you can use that will support the body in certain shapes, such as pigeon, which is one of our more intense asanas that we use. Even something as simple as sukhasana, simple seated. I like to have a blanket sometimes under my right knee, depending on how I'm feeling that day. So it just allows the body to fully drop into the shape that we're creating, rather than being distracted by a sensation that is outside of the intention of the shape. So I can't stress enough how important props are. Now, blocks are an amazing addition to your support system. So ideally you would have two blocks. They come in lots of different styles, easy to find, many different places online. You can shop for yoga accessories or supplies. Another accessory or prop would be a belt. There's a lot of different variations, lots of different ways you can use the belt. It helps to stabilize the body in a particular shape or when you're in traction, which is why it has two rings to loop through, and in a sense just keep you stable. And that's something that your yoga instructor, your teacher can absolutely help you with. So recommended, that would be after blankets and blocks. And ideally a bolster. So bolsters provide another level of firmness and height. And what's so amazing about a bolster is that it supports the full length of your body. And you really want to get one that's really nice and firm. And they typically are priced from, really good ones are priced from about $40 to $90. So if you invest in one, then you will have it for years and years and years. This particular brand is Hugger Mugger, which I highly recommend. The bolster provides the resistance that we need to allow the body to fully open and release when we're in traction. So for example, something as simple as Supta Baddha Konasana, that really simple heart opener, we have the just right height here. Sometimes you can put a blanket on the bolster, but this really allows for the heart to lift and open. We begin to create space in the rib cage, the lungs, the shoulders can drape over the side. Now, if you are just doing this with a blanket, there's going to be a different sensation because the bolster is more rigid, more firm, and the blanket or blankets may not have the same height, and they're much softer, and you won't get that same compression. So highly recommended to invest in a bolster for your home practice. So number one, of course, blankets. Number two would be the blocks. And number three, I will say, would be the bolster. And your last to your yoga accessories, the props, would be a belt. I've always found at home there's other things I can use besides a belt, but because these are designed for the practice, it's really helpful to have one, and have one that they come in different lengths. So I would probably purchase the greater length, and that will give you more options. So I hope that helped you, give you some insight on what props to use for the yin practice and why they are so, so important. They really help us drop into the shape. We hold them for 2 to 4 minutes, and we want to have as much support as the body needs so we can really keep our drishti, our focus, where it needs to be, which is on the breath. So again, I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the mat and in practice. Namaste.